Original SMT5 was famous for its insane level scaling. Because of it, damage went almost to zero by difference 10 levels higher, and this sucks. Because of it, games encouraged grinding. And knowing all this, I was surprised to see Ragnar's video with only mandatory battles. How he did that? He used fusion accidents. This is a very rare event in SMT5, but by this you can obtain demon 11 levels higher than Nahabino. And after I watched this, I thought, is it easier in SMT5 Vengeance? It has more bosses and much less strict level scaling. This idea was deep inside my brain until one video I decided to do that myself and become the first one who did that in Vengeance.
The game literally cheats in scripted fights. For nearly every scripted encounter in the entire game, bosses, abscesses, fiends, Nahobino, everything, there is a special variable set in the game's code that causes them to automatically skip this check, instead setting the level scaling modifier to 1.0. This means that for nearly every scripted fight, being 10 levels under them or 10 levels above them won't change how much damage they are doing to you.
So yeah, just one. Also, what was encourages me that in my original playthrough I managed to kill boss 20 levels above me on normal difficulty. So, is it possible to beat Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance by doing only mandatory battles on hard? Let's find out. But firstly, here's some rules. Obviously only mandatory battles, but I can trigger fight to recruit demon, because it gives 0 experience. Difficulty hard, Grimoires okay, but Gospels no. No NG+, no grinding fusion accidents, and optional no Luminous Mirage and no Strategize. Before I start, I need to tell you that this run actually modified low level run. Now you will have dissonance. Most of the time I was higher level than the video with low level run. How can this be possible? Because I use skill Omagatoki luck, it doubles the experience and money if you kill the enemy on the turn where you used it. Ragnar used it too, but nobody uses it on low level runs. You may say that my challenge must be really easy. No, in low level runs you can fight abscess and learn strong miracle. Also you can do side quests to obtain strong demons, so most of the tactics doesn't work here. You can't even imagine how I suffered. Anyway, let's get started. I chose the most logical name I could think of, so let's keep an interesting part, everybody for gameplay. First fight obviously no problems, and question, what build did I choose? I will dump all my points into magic and vitality. Playing as a glass cannon is fun, but not consistent. Then I collected demons, and with such a squad I went to kill Pretas. Obviously no problems, they're just first level and now I'm 5th. Next fight with Abscess, and only this one required. And you know what? Miracle to change affinities not from this fight. So I will be suffering from Force and Dark to the end of the game. Anyway, fight with flowers wasn't problem at all, but this is not enough to level up. So next one is Glacial Bolas. This is very easy because game gives us 2 strong party members, and they are stronger than me by the way. Debuffs, Zio, and fight is over. And now I'm level 7. Then I completed the quest for collecting stars. For this quest I got some experience and what is more important, 2 Soma drops. This is 100 MP and HP heal, which at this stage actually full HP and MP heal. Then the funniest thing happened. I got the fusion accident. I got a peak that is needed for the quest. I would have been able to use it only after Hydra. And I decided to leave this peak as an exception, just for luck. You see, on my first playthrough I didn't have a single fusion accident. Even if I hadn't this peak, I would still be the same level on Hydra, so I don't see the problem. Then I completed the quest for 5 life stones and now I'm level 8, against a 15 level boss. My initial strategy was to spam ice magic at key boss at lowest attack. When the boss gathers Magatsuki on the first phase, he will use strong dark attack, which is easy to block. But the most dangerous skill was Fire Breath. This is gameable. Skill hits randomly, and if it hits someone 2 times, in 80% chance he will die. And this is all problems for the first phase. In the second phase, this is a race. The boss will have access to a strong AoE physical attack. Well, you see for yourself. After 4 lost attempts, I came to my final strategy. The boss can be put to sleep. He has neither resistance nor weakness to sleep. The strategy was to consistently put the boss to sleep in the second phase. Sandman's unique ability helped a lot. He can hit sleeping without waking them up. quite an interesting ability. I also took Yoko as a healer and Daemon as an attacker. He has resistance to fire. In my final attempt I was very lucky. I often managed to put the boss to sleep. In the second phase I put him to sleep 3 times and 1 in the first phase. And so Yoko finished him off with darkness. And now I'm level 10. No, 11. Now I can explore a new part of that. Died because I triggered the boss. After exploring I thought I couldn't do any quest, but I'm just blind idiot. Oh well, it's time for Naamah. I was really afraid of this fight, because the MC is weak to darkness, and he won't believe what happened on the first try. What was my plan? There is a hidden mechanic in the game. The more often you are afflicted with the same status effect, the harder it to inflict. And I just had to survive the first capitulate to pleasure. But another problem was that the boss was constantly dodging. And only after the fight I learned about Naamah's unique skill. It increases dodge for all coadditional allies. Anyway, the fight got long. I had to constantly block for the main character to protect him from darkness. The Daemon also helped, who blocks darkness, which took away press turn icons from the boss. In short, 3 deaths and 20 minutes later the boss was killed, and now I'm level 13. After the boss I took the egg for the omelette and got experience. And now I can fuse the demon I wanted for a long time, the elemental one, so now I can get the double experience from the fight. Time for Eligor. Obviously this fight wasn't a problem at all, but I managed to die one. The hardest part was to survive the start. From this fight I got a crap ton of experience, and now I'm level 16. And since I had no near enough experience to get level 17, I went to Nuwa. Without doubt was the most interesting fight. She is level 25, and from this point I will be saying boss's weakness. She is weak to fire. Her moveset is very small, which is why it's so annoying. She has an attack, Zanma and Mazio. We block Mazio, which is great, but we have weakness to Zanma, and she one-shots us. But there is a solution. This fight requires a unique gameplay for this game. Do not use Magatsuki. In short, Nuwa's ability is that she deals more damage to an enemy weak spot if Magatsuki is not full. And now she does not one-shot us. But you probably have a question. What prevents her from hitting us twice? I don't know, but something definitely prevents her. Because she never hit me twice. She constantly repeated attacks and even targets. She probably has a unique code because, as you found out later, SMT5 is the greatest crutch. And I think her code was not changed from the original. So, when she collects Magatsuki, she uses strong AoE force attack. In order to not repeat Naamah's mistake, I debuff not only attack, but also accuracy. The main character has access to the first AoE Q, so he mainly kills and hits with fire. Yoko the same role. Fortune debuffs and also absorbs force attacks, and Nozuchi is just mainly for the damage and taunt. I almost never use taunt, but his high strength stat helped a lot. But 2 problems appeared. The first is mana items. I used the last one to this fight, and there is a very dangerous boss ahead. which I'm very afraid of, and even these items are barely enough for this fight. And secondly, the fight is so long that force dampeners simply run out. And if I didn't come up with a solution for the first one, but the same for the second. It's just a race, and you don't need to use Luck Magatsuki in this fight. You will find out why. I'm showing you the final attempt. The dampeners are gone and the boss is collecting Magatsuki. I decided to go for the all-out attack, and yes, I did it. Actually, the second all-out attack, the first one was not victory. And yes, we get 0 experience. Thanks. So, before the next fight I decided to farm some chakra drops. But how can I even get them without killing someone? Firstly, there is some lying in a specific spot, I missed 2 of them. And you also can get chakra drops as a demon gift. But how can you increase a demon sympathy? Well, in the first location it's easy to find gifts for demons. And also, if you talk to a demon you already have during a fight, he will simply leave. And he can give money and in theory an item. But this never happened to me. And such fights also increases a demon sympathy. Well, in short, I couldn't write anything like that, but I decided at least to try the next fight. In real world, I completed the Miyazu quest, which helped me reach level 17, and now Naamah and her beloved dog. So, bosses has weakness to physical and lightning. And to my surprise, the wiki has exact value of boss's HP. And in total that has less HP than the Nuwa fight, at least by feeling. The primary task was to kill Naamah, because she can kill the main character with darkness. And the first attempt was just terrible. The first problem is that they took away Yoko, and she helped a lot. Another problem is damage and evasion. There is 2 bosses, and how can I debuff them when they have 4 turns? To solve this problem, I resorted to a skill that I will use to the end of the game. I learned about its existence from Bragnar's video, and I was surprised how it's used in every low-level video. And I'm talking about Rosetsu Fist, a skill that completely debuffs all opponents. It can be used by Jackie, the talisman which lies right next to Nuwa, and it's so strong that I won on the first try. Naamah didn't have a chance, and Doc alone can do little. And now I'm level 19, and this is how the fight I was most afraid of was the easiest in the game. No time to waste, we have to fight with Laamu. But before that, there are 3 mandatory battles in school. They are very easy, and I became the level 20, so it's time for Laamu. I died 5 times. And the fight is not difficult, I was just too lazy to come up with a smart tactic and make new demons. We already have 2 people. In the first phase you need to get rid of all tentacles. They're all weak to force and light, but every 3 turns he heals them. In the final attempt spamming darkness could not kill me and Tao. After that the easy part remains, to finish off the main body. and the experience was enough to get level 21. I understand that the first impressions are really important, and you are watching right now and clearly thinking that the challenge is incredibly easy. But the most fun bosses are coming next. From this point in the game, chakra drums can just lie, so I can farm them. I collected everything I could and did some quests. And I reached level 22, against 28 boss. This is going to be fun. Whoa, where do I even start? The boss's weakness is force, and she spams physical attacks. I won't tell you all the tactics I tried, don't worry, I will do it on other bosses. The most obvious strategy was to constantly use taunt, which not only helped to control the boss, but also prevented the use of AoE physical attack. At least this boss can't collect Magatsuhi. I took Nigachat Nazushi for the taunt. Another of his features is that when he receiving physical damage, he can counterattack with force. Oh yeah, how cool he is. And he also has resistance to physical attack. I also took Yoko for items and healing, Weaver for poison block, and the MC mainly buffed and attacked. Another problem is that the boss can heal. At least the healing depends on how much damage she did, so Nazuchi resistance also reduces the healing. But it was so annoying that when you skip the animation, healing does not show up, so you have to watch the entire animation, then stare at your ass to see the healing. I spent 11 long attempts, and the coolest thing that I managed to screw up the timing of killing the boss with double experience 3 times in a row. Cool, right? And now I'm level 24, even 25. Before the next fight you need to prepare well. In the new location there are several quests, but this was not enough to raise the level. So we have no choice but to go for the boss level 32. What could possibly go wrong? Fionn weakness is electricity. He mainly hits with physical attack, and he just smashed me. On the second try, I realized that in order to survive Mack and Lewin, you need to use taunt, yeah, Mack and Lewin did no buffs, no debuffs, only resistance and guard, 100 damage. And that's it, I'm level 27. Blah blah blah, quest, apples, level 28, and there is finale of Shinagawa. Now the real gaming will begin. I spent more time on this boss than on A-Shed. Meet Yuzuru and Hayataro. How this fight works. They each have 2 turns, 4 in total. Yuzuru is weak to fire, Hayataro is weak to force and darkness. Yuzuru attacks, Hayataro attacks even harder, heals and uses taunt. How ironic, my weapon against me. Yuzuru has a strict pattern that he follows. Ice ice, light light, ice ice, light sleep. Since Yuzuru always goes first, with Jack Frost we can literally annihilate half of the moves. What does the dog do? I don't know his pattern. Basically he taunts and heals. That's all. Thanks to absorption, dog is not very dangerous. So how did the others do with this fight? It's simple. Jack Frost absorbs ice. On the moves with light, they just threw magic mirrors and reflect damage. So in 3 turns, you can speedrun Yuzuru. But there is a problem. Look, if you never killed Hayataro, then you will get 11,000 experience. But if you killed him at least once, you will get 29,000. And with doubling, it's almost 60,000. And I just need it. So, what's the tactic? Other changed the resistance of main character so he absorbs ice, but I think you understand what the problem is. So we'll have to limit ourselves to the Jack Frost. We can't absorb light at this stage. The maximum is block, which will take one press turn icon from the dock. But holding both Jack Frost and the demon blocking light is greatly affects on damage. So we will be constantly swapping them between themselves. I decided to choose Principality because it can both debuff and heal. So what's the team? Yoko is ideal, but during the light you need to guard. Then I took the KFC, it has both fire and force, which is ideal, and there is also this robot, it's the same. Then, when the mana runs out, I switch to Tower, she just uses items. And MC hit with force and fire items, and uses the best spell in the game. Kanabi Veil. It creates a shield that reduces damage taken by 30%. It's cheap and will be useful at any stage of the game. To avoid such situations, before this I block, which greatly reduces chance of being slipped. And it turns out the hardest part was to kill Hayataro at the beginning. And then when Yuzuru revives him, he'll be with only half of the HP, and it's not difficult to kill him again. And so, after 17 attempts and several hours, I won. And here it is, level 31. After that there is a small plot unloading, level 32, and a new region. And upgrade to our people, which is good. At the very beginning we have to fight with powers, and they gave us 10,000 XP, not bad. And there is also a lot more side quests that not require fights. Then another fight with the power, and another 20k, and the last fight with powers. In this fight there will be constant reinforcements, from 1 to 5. And a funny thing happened, I got a tutorial message about reinforcements. It's funny how I get a tutorial message so late in the game. So, I managed to die once, but in the 8 I got 100,000 of experience. This is just crazy. And now I'm level 39. I raised 6 levels on the powers alone. There were a bunch of side quests and explorations, but it was not enough to level up. Next is a branch with Khonsu, and the game gives us a great team. Almost no need to make new demons. There is a tank and a great buffer. I also made Sukuna Hikana from SMT 4 Apocalypse. The first fight against two Lamias and Isis. They were no problem, but I managed to die once, and it was not enough to level up. And so, I go with level 40 against the boss levels 46, not bad. Now I can talk in more detail about our guys. Yuzuru has a lot of HP, can hit a weak spot with ice and also charge to use a strongest physical attack. And Dazai, of course he's a loser, no one will argue, but his moveset is great. He has last through candy but 4 times cheaper and without a strength buff. So Dazai buffs and heals and the rest damage dealers. And now I'm level 42. Then I explored the region that opened up and that's it. Time for Nuwa and Yakumo. Yakumo is weak to darkness and Nuwa is weak to fire. And once again the game says that Yoko is perfect because she can do both. Yuzuru plays the role of the tank, the other attacks, and the main character supports with buffs and heals. I'm telling you everything now like it was very easy and going very smoothly, but it took me nearly an hour to get to this tactic. And after this fight I'm level 44. And then there is no more side quests, only Agrat. I was afraid of this fight. I knew that I would be stuck here for a long time and in fact everything was not so bad. Surprisingly the most important thing is to keep buffs and debuffs, without them you can't go anywhere at this point. And mainly not even for defense. You all know the thing of this fight. Agrat uses a move for 12 weak almighty attacks that can crit. And so you need to keep buffs and debuffs so someone can dodge. And second, Agrat surprisingly has a little HP. I knock half off by the third turn. She has a pattern, so you can block her attacks. And I spent less time on her than on Nuwa and Yakumo. And now I'm level 45, and with this level I go to Gillstudio. should probably explain how this fight works, because no one has said everything about this fight. Well, at least most of the things I learned myself. Lilith is weak to light. When Kadishtu collects Magatsuhi, it means they will use a strong almighty attack that heals and charms. But it can be prevented. If you manage to kill at least one enemy, there will be no attack. And as a nice bonus, Kadishtu will miss a turn. I knew that Lilith would summon them again, but with a half HP. We have already encountered this, and understood that the most difficult part will be the beginning. So, now about their moveset. It was divided by half. Naamah only had attack and defense debuffs, Eisneth only had physical attacks, Agrat had all attacks left but no buffs, and Lilith throw defense and attack buffs, and also a barrier from physical attacks. Their stats were also divided in half, or even more, and they now all have about 20-25, before that they have about 40. What was my strategy? To make demon against each Kadishtu and constantly keep Lilith alone. Agrat is the most dangerous, her attack can hit hard and on everyone. Then Eisneth comes. Although she constantly spam physical attacks, she cannot kill the entire team, like Agrat, but she can still cause problems. Naamah does not cause any problems at all. She does not have dark attack, any attack. But a problem appeared. It is difficult to do this. In one turn you have to kill a Kadishtu, even with a half HP. But even if I could possibly kill them, Lilith still summoned them constantly. After 2 hours of trying and choosing strategies, I realized that maybe I should take everything I can. I'm not a big fan of collecting all demons. It's not worth it. But here I seriously spent 2 hours collecting everything I could. And it, well, helped a little, at least sutras. By the way, the joke is that I can collect them all. Because one of them in the zone where as soon as I enter the boss fight begins, so I won't get the achievement. Well, after many unsuccessful attempts, I was able to kill Agrat, defended myself from Eisneth with the help of physical block, thanks to Yoko. And thanks to this, Lilith couldn't get the second action. She has 2 actions, at the beginning and at the end of the turn. And I realized one pattern that no one said. Lilith cannot summon allies with the first action. And if Yoko spams physical block, while only Eisneth and Lilith are on the field, it's easy to force them into endless loop. But there is a problem. It turns out that Lilith cannot summon allies with the first action until a quarter of her HP. I was lucky, and the first one was Naamah. After that I was able to survive one turn with Agrat and understood that it better not to kill her and wait for the collecting Magatsuhi. And so it happened. I prevented the attack and directed all my forces to killing Lilith. Agrat was summoned again, but thanks to physical block, she did not get the turn. There was no way to retreat. I summoned Flames and... I was sure that I would not be able to win this fight, but a little ingenuity helped me to pass. And now I'm level 47. Yuzuru dies, and now we have a cool skin and a great ability to make 4 actions in a row. Now we can make a little rest before the end game, and I honestly didn't expect to be able to get all the way here. I thought I would give up on the second fight with Naamah. Then I thought I would give up on Eisneth. Then on Yuzuru. Then on Agrat. But every time I found the solution, I couldn't give up anymore. So, let's go to the best dungeon in the game. I won't say how much I like it, its atmosphere, music, puzzles, that's not what we are here for. At the very beginning a fight with several engines. Obviously for me who killed so many bosses, some high level engines were not a problem. And this was enough for level 48. Cherubs, they need to be killed at the same time, otherwise they will start to use strong light attack. It was not a problem, but it was not enough for level up. Abdiel. I have nothing to say here. This fight compared to Kadishtu is just random encounter. I just hit with all the darkness I could and that's it. And for some reason Abdiel constantly hit the MP without even taunt. And during this fight I realized the problem that will be with me for the end of the game. Before this there were some people who could use items, but now only Nahobina. And this will be a problem. I'm level 50 and now I'm officially in the end game. And after a full exploration of Taito, I had enough for level 51. And what level are next bosses? What about 72? Yes, there is a big spike difficulty here. But we were given Tower, which has all slot skills open, which is very nice. Obviously, it's easier to deal with Beelzebub now. He is weak to fire and he has a huge amount of magic, ice, darkness and electricity. That's why I gave the main character block darkness, so he won't die, and he already blocked electricity. And after my team get killed, I just turned on after battle to die faster, and I noticed that I didn't die for a very long time. And it became clear he can hit me with only ice and normal attack. And suddenly a stupid idea came to my mind. I added the main character an ice block, and my theory was correct. He couldn't hit me. The only way to hit me was the normal attack, and during the Magatsuki collection with the force attack. But I throw a magic mirror. And it worked. Yes, it was annoying to miss because of the full debuffs, but I just removed all the buffs with the item, and with the help of Omnipotent Succession, I could do a lot of damage. And yes, that's how I killed him. It was a little difficult to summon an ally to use luck properly, but I managed to do it, and now I'm level 54. And the next fight, the worst fight in the entire game. It just really pisses me off. Zeus and Odin are practically the same, both has weakness to force, both uses electricity and physical attacks, and I don't know what the pattern is, but if the boss has a weakness to force, then I suffer. And all attempts of this boss are long, because the beginning of the fight are no problem. You just spam the physical block, and when they collect Magatsuki, you need to throw a mirror. But when you kill one, or both of them has less than half HP, feasting begins. They get access to their famous moves. Zeus has Madness Glint, which deals almighty damage randomly, inflicts panic, and if hits someone twice, he dies. On the other hand, Odin has Wunder, which goes through resistances. Obviously Zeus is more dangerous, but you still need to survive the beginning. When there are two of them, you need to maintain constant buffs and debuffs, Tao quickly runs out of mana, and only the main character can throw items. In short, with the help of Great Hanabi Veil, after 4 hours I was able to kill this boss, and it was enough for 2 levels plus level from quest. After that I explored the temple, collect goodies, and reach the next boss. Metatron is the first boss who has no weakness, so he spells Almighty Magic and uses Debilitate. And honestly, he's so boring compared to the next bosses, so I will tell you the winning tactics right away. The Great Yoshitsune is the main damage dealer, the MC put Kanabi Veil, maintains mana and sometimes hit with darkness, because Metatron is neutral to darkness. Tower heals and buffs sometimes, but the main buffer is Rooster, basically the soul. And they give a lot of experience for him, which is enough for level 61. After this we have the most important fight in SMT 5 Vengeance. So, what about this boss? Abdiel obviously has weakness to light, Dazai for ice, and this boss follows a pattern of 2 moves. Falling Destroyer, Maragi Baryon, Luster Candy, Makarakarn, Hades Blast, Tenterafu, Luster Candy, Makarakarn. And when I figured out the pattern, it was not difficult to choose a tactic. I took good luck to absorb darkness, so that would immediately end first turn, and then used a physical block. So everything was going great, but after Abdiel death, Dazai came, let's say, to a strategy of a famous boss, but in his own understanding. And what's the solution? In fact, it's very simple, kill Dazai first. After his death, Abdiel will start using Impaler Animus, but surviving it was much more realistic. And that's all. It was a fairly difficult fight, and that's enough for one level. And in my head I was already happy, because I understood that by reaching this stage I won. Look, I did a little analysis. Enemies dropped fixed experience and bosses too. And look, the original SMT5 had a problem. Due to the fact that this game was highly dependent on level, testers were often too low level, and so that players would fight more, dungeons were made like this. Well, when enemies appear in the front of your face, or when enemies are placed in a row so you could at least kill one of them, or at school where forced encounters that you can't escape. And after that, someone in the team came up with a brilliant solution. In the final location of the game there are 3 mandatory fights with regular opponents, and they don't give constant experience. Here are the shots. And what are they here for? They raise the player to required level against the final bosses. And in Ragnar's video they give him 12 levels. As I understand it, they give different amount of experience depending on the player's level. I understood that they should give a lot of experience. The moment of truth. After the fight with 3 robots I got 1 level. I was afraid of this. They removed it in Vengeance. I had such a brilliant theory, which is basically true but for the original. The next fight gave 2 levels, and the last fight gave 2 more levels, in total 69, against level 83 boss. By the way, I didn't tell you, I tried to get a neutral ending to try both bosses, but it didn't work out. At least we got the best girl. And so it's time for Tiamat. I think there is no point in me explaining how this fight works, everyone remembers. You kill the heads, they take HP from the main body, them, I explained it. Well, they all have their own weaknesses, one has physical attacks, another has half of the magic, third one has the second half of the magic. And what's the strategy? I plan to focus on one head. At first I chose the mages, because Yoku is also a mage. And well, let's say it sucked. And then I thought, maybe magic is weak. Usually physical attacks are strong. I tried to make the physicalist and they focused on one hand. It turned out to be better, but still. And I tried a lot of tactics, but nothing worked out. And it all came down to how this fight works. First, the body goes. It has only ice magic, so Fionn just absorbs ice and everything is fine. But after collecting Gatsuki, it uses a physical attack. It's not a problem, we use an item, but after this, head starts using Mediarama and everything goes downhill. Next goes the thread, which alternates between Impaler Animus and attack, and the damage becomes so much that it's impossible to cope with it. And what's left? There is one tactic left that was in my head from the beginning of the game, but I tried to avoid it as much as I can. And no, it's not put in the rules. Remember the beginning, what I said at the beginning of the video. Also, what encourages me that in my original playthrough I managed to kill boss 20 levels above me on normal difficulty. But how did I kill him? The answer is simple. Glass cannon. I had to so much damage that the boss would not have time to kill anyone and summon minions. I killed him not the first time, but the third. And so I used one of my testament tablets to transfer everything into strength. I collected the best demons for strength, tested them and gave everyone critical aura. In theory critical aura is better, but it's better with spells that has lot of damage but poor accuracy. And you know what the funny thing? All of them are unavailable for me. So I went with another tactic, Hades Blast. I did so much damage that the boss did not have time to move to a new phase. and he has only 3 of them. I played like last time, but each time there was not enough fuel, just a bit. But with each attempt I got better and better to the end. I had all the buffs, debuffs and a good damage. And after several hours in one of the attempts I got greedy. The boss had less than 2000 HP, so he could not revive the head. And I tried to use luck, but lost, so I decided to not go greedy. Anyway, one level won't make a difference. And well, we have only 2 fun fights left. And the next has the best fight of the entire challenge, not because of the boss is cool, but also because I pick up the best tactic ever. Mastema. Before the boss I leveled up Yoko, used all the sutras, now her energy drain restored 50 mana. So, how does Mastema work? I will tell you right away. I died only 3 times, so I won't keep you waiting. He has a pattern, and each phase he adds a new move to the pattern. In total 4 phases. When he collects Magatsugi, he will use a new move in his pattern. So his pattern is Light, Physical, Force and Almighty. His unique skill adds a flashing icon to his next turn every time he was hit in a fixed spot or critical hit. And many people ignored it and fight with 8 press turn icons, but this is, let's say, too dangerous for us. Therefore, depending on the phase, either I hit or I don't hit. Now, what's the team? Me, Yoko, Throne and Chirona. I understand that you are surprised by the team, but it is the best team ever. Look, the main character dances and hits with Murakuma, because I have all my points in strength. It is good damage without a critical hit. Yoko is mainly for healing and fire, then Chirona for the best buff in the game. And he also sometimes hits with fire. And the most important, Throne. He hits with fire, heals and uses Sea of Stars, which restores a third of the mana for all allies. And this is perfect, I can fight endlessly. They all have light block, so the phase with light is no problem. Before it you need to deal as much damage as possible. Mastema has 3 unique moves for each phase except for the first one. And I must avoid them at all costs. They are too dangerous, but Mastema cannot use them right away. Therefore, before Force and Physical, you can hit a weak spot once. The main thing to put blocks. I gave one of the demon a Force block. And what's about the Almighty? It's okay, you need to guard with everyone, so he doesn't get the crit. And he doesn't use his unique move. He can use it only as a third action. I decided not to risk and therefore didn't use luck. The fight, by the way, lasted 40 minutes, and that was enough for one level. Fight 37, Lucifer. And this is the hardest fight in the game. He never caused problems in any of my runs, but here I don't even know where to start. Resistances. It's okay to hit him with Darkness, Pierce attacks and Almighty. His moveset is so big that it's not everything. He also has Diorama, Light and Darkness. And Lucifer has a pattern, but it's just disgusting. Elemental Magic, 2 Megidalion, Megidalion with a Star Creation, Reset, Tentarafu and Repeat. I had very few mana items, 1 Soma, 1 Chakra Pot and a bunch of Chakra drops. And I was confused. I could barely survive Lucifer moves, not to mention dealing damage. And I realized that I need to use cheese strategies. I plan to use Omnipotent Succession, not to use it, and then with the Omagatoki critical remove all the demons and hit with Nahabina 8 times. And now I will say seriously everything that I tried. Strategize turned out to be a complete trash. To use it normally you need a large stock to combine a bunch of abilities from passive skills, and with my small stock and most of the demons being locked behind side quests, which requires a fight, it's impossible. Adversity. It increases damage from attacks depending on the lost HP, and I cannot use it. I collected a setup to understand that I don't have access to it. Great. And suddenly I see something that can save me. Amagatoki Dance. All skills that deal multiple hits will deal everything. And a brilliant idea was born in my head. If it works out with Lunar Hurricane, which does 9 hits, this will be crazy. And it does not work. Okay, we have a lot of other options, maybe physical attacks. We have a lot of that, and 1000 is my maximum, and it's too little. Then I started scrolling down Cell Table from the Jeffinator to find out at least a useful skill that could help me. I tried triple reflected damage from Girimikala, enchanted attacks, depending on the number of weaknesses from Magog. Well, at this point I slowly began to give up. I need to end the denial. There is no cheat strategy against Lucifer. You need to beat him in the fair fight. I watched a lot of videos from other people, and most of them used the strategy with Artemis. With +2 defense and guard, Pierce won't work, and you can reflect the star. In one Korean video I took a lot of notes, for example Snake which blocks practically everything. Spoiler, it didn't help. Being safe every 5th turn and wasting plot for a demon is not worth it. And here is Kuklain, which go through resistances and deal a critical hit, is perfect. I didn't want to use MC as a supporter at all, because he can be a great attacker, but there is no other strategies. And I had a lot of demons in my head that I would use, but we only have 2 slots. Kuklain, Snake, Naamah, which blocks panic and can also be a great buffer to buffer. Agrat, which is great fire and ice attacker. Cheering up for a great buff, Throne for mana, but in the end I came to the perfect strategy. We can survive Megidalions with only full buffs, debuffs and perfectly with Kanabi Veil. We can't kill stars, or rather we barely have time. And we can't reflect or block them, what's left? Dodge! We break the rule, there is no other solution. The main character must be a tank. I also invested everything in agility, so the main character has a higher chance of dodging Megidalion, which will slow down the fight. Yoko buffs and debuffs, and I was constantly running out of mana on her, until I remembered about existence of Boon Boost, which prolongs buffs and debuffs. The problem disappeared, then the Throne for healing and mana, and Naamah for blocking panic and damage.
The time from God's defeat, truth.
Hanabi Veil. Master Candy. Так, не умираем. Must consider true freedom. God's defeat. Truth. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Hanabi Veil. Time has come. Похоже, у меня нет вариантов больше. This! You're going to wreck that. Давай, 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 давай. Та-та-та-та. Oh, да, level up. Поджили, тебе похуй.
Magnificent, truly magnificent. The world shall be plunged into chaos, and from that roiling sea, a new freedom must surely emerge.